We acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and the lands we reach out to during this event. We respect the continuing connection to land, waters and family that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples uphold. We pay respect to elders past, present and future. We recognise that teaching and learning has taken place on country for over 60,000 years and that two-way learning is an important part of our reconciliation journey. Welcome to Create, Share, Learn Live with my co-host, as always, for the second time in a row, Ben Eyles. Since we're in episode 2 of the new refurbished show. I'm Erin, Raethke. I'm so pleased that you could join us. Ben, what is new with you?
Erin, mate, I'm just excited I look forward to this for 2 reasons: hang out with you, and also to just it's the month drags on, and then this gets closer, and then I get excited. You know, I don't think I could do more than one a month at the moment, but it's fun. What's going on with me? Very exciting week in our household. I'm having a birthday. I'm exiting my 30s. And we also, all the kids have been saving up for a Nintendo Switch 2. And pre-ordered, it came out yesterday. We went down to the shop, did the handover. It was a very big deal. Lots of tears, mostly mine. It was very cute. And yeah, so that's pretty much our life. Birthday weekend and a little bit of Nintendo in and around that. What about you, mate?
Oh, no, I am excellent. May I say a premature welcome to your 40s. I have been here for a few months now and it is fine. Like your neck's supposed to sound like it's got sand in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
my toe started to hurt today. I don't know why. Is that just a thing?
Could it be the toe curling cold that we've been experiencing over the last couple of nights?
It's been pretty cold in Albury, Wodonga. Yeah.
I looked at the heat or lack thereof map on the weather last night, and because it was cold here, and I looked at where you are, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, not going to complain about that. That is next level misery. Oh my goodness! But yeah, I am actually really, really well. I think it's I either started it in 2018 or 2019. They changed their login thing, so I don't actually have my full history anymore. It was definitely pre-COVID, though. I started doing the push-up challenge. So each year, it is a slightly different number of push-ups that you do in a certain amount of days, and it is to raise awareness and funds for mental health in Australia. Now, I love doing it. I will say to anybody who is thinking about doing this challenge, even if you're not really even thinking about doing, like, the idea of doing push-ups makes you go, ooh. I do combination of push-ups and squats and lunges just to like hit my number every day. If I'm feeling really, really frisky, I might even do a few bonus ones, but I think the most important part of this challenge every single June is to learn some things about mental health in Australia and abroad. Every single day there is a different push-up challenge count based on a statistic or a percentage. So I've been posting on my Instagram every day of like sort of what the challenge is, taking some screenshots. They come up with some fantastic information, and I really, really, really highly recommend that anybody who knows anybody who has had mental health concerns or issues, you will learn a lot from the app, even if you, because there is an app for everything nowadays. But yeah, you will learn a lot. If you don't want the app, go to the page. If you want to donate. If you don't want to donate, that is cool too. But I, this year, am raising funds for Lifeline. That's my chosen charity. They offer a few options when you sign up for the push-up challenge. So yeah, if you're thinking about wanting to kickstart your fitness goals, also get amongst it, because I find if I've been told, like today's was 140 reps, if I have to do 140 somethings, way more likely to do that than to go, oh yeah, I should try to like stretch and do some exercise periodically throughout the day. Yeah. Give me a number, set me a goal, tell me what I'm supposed to do, makes it so much easier.
You inspiring individual. I might even try a push-up one of these days after that. That's just like, woo.
Well, my goal by the end of the month is to be able to do them back on my toes again, but every year I do it, and every year by the end of it, I'm like maybe doing a couple of sets of 10 on my toes, get really super proud of myself, go, I'm going to maintain this, and I never do. So right now I'm doing girly push-ups. Some years I have to start doing push-ups on the kitchen counter, so like at an angle like this.
Oh, yeah.
It still counts as a push-up.
Nice. All right, you can talk me through it. That's awesome, mate. I am very impressed, and I will. I feel like you make me want to be a better human, Erin.
Oh, thank you. I don't know how you could possibly be a better human because you are a top quality human.
Thank you. I am. Oh, shucks.
Not that that is news to anybody, but in other news, news. So
good looking.
This month, there's been so much news, but let's focus on some interesting but not particularly problematic news, because that's my favorite kind. The kind of news that doesn't make me break into a cold sweat. Best kind of news ever.
Yes.
Did you want to open with your news, Ben?
Yeah. Look, I'll start you off real slow and easy with this scary news world. I'm just gonna move some stuff around my computer screen. Up there we go. And here's my computer. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna add this to the stage, and you can see my computer screen here.
Nice.
I'm gonna start off with a web search, and where we're going is, the kids these days. I can say that because I'm nearly 40.
You're middle-aged. Yeah. Congratulations.
I've been a photographer for most of my life, and the idea used to be you want to save up and get the best camera you can. You were chasing image quality, and dynamic range, and you want to have fun with it. You didn't want to take it too seriously. Yes, you wanted to remember that gear is nice, but it's not the most important thing. Enter, a bit of a resurgence in film photography recently. So that's obviously a bit of a dip in quality in terms of regular sized film compared to digital now, but it's super fun. It is expensive.
I love film photography. So expensive now because it's niche.
Yeah. And then you get these characters like this is Ali, who runs a channel on YouTube and Instagram called 1 Month 2 Cameras, where she champions crusty old cameras, that might be 10, 15 years old, puts one in a bag for two weeks and shoots on it and discovers the love and the look of all these old sensors and things like that, right? So that's a nice thing. It's about getting the camera out of your cupboard, not stressing about gear. Okay. Now, that's a nice movement. And then we know that marketers ruin everything, don't we? Not marketers as the people, but just that kind of, this becomes a money-making opportunity. Look, I'll just show you this. So recently, Fujifilm, who have always had these kind of retro-inspired cameras, but they've still had tremendously great image quality.
And the grippiness of the old-fashioned bodies is like so tactile.
So these guys, if I show you that, like this thing here, this is a premium point and shoot, $3,000. They're kind of mirrorless cameras, are expensive and out of stock everywhere. They do medium format stuff. And then about a week and a bit ago, they dropped this thing, which is inspired by film, but reimagined for today. So what's it cost? Approximately $1,400, a bit of change from that. And it's this tiny little thing. It looks like it's well made. Less megapixels than, 17 megapixels here somewhere. Less megapixels than most cameras, most camera phones. And it shoots vertical photos, okay? So it's kind of borrowing the idea of these old film cameras that used to split a piece of film in half and expose onto each half. It's got all sorts of trendy little modes. Doesn't shoot RAW. It doesn't shoot any sort of like high-end kind of, it doesn't have a lot of those sorts of settings. It does these sorts of things where you can shoot these two photos, stitch them together, and it's also got this mode in it where you can lock it down to a preset. So here's your little film types on the side. You swipe your thumb across them to change your film. And what you can do with this film leader is, and pushing a few buttons, is you can lock in a roll of digital film where you've got to commit to shoot for, 36, 72 photos.
Yeah.
And then before you take the next one, you've got to spin this completely redundant, but I guess, I don't know, tactile.
Like the wind up. Yeah. Yep. I get the mechanics of it, but why?
Yeah. Well, and this is what I wanted to unpack with you for the next couple of minutes is like, we don't need this because this is infinitely better, but this is more fun. And it's now more fun to the point where people are going to drop serious dosh on it. Help me. What's happening?
Okay, so I've already said that I'm 40, so dating myself is pointless. Like, yay, I'm alive at 40. Hooray. I don't mind about my age, but I saved up so hard to get my D7000, my Nikon D7000. I had to just quickly Google it. It came out in 2010.
Yep.
And I'm like 99% sure I dropped like $1,600 on it because it was like global financial crisis. The cost of cameras had just dipped because like the US dollar had dipped. So that's why I was able to get it for like less than $2,000. And I was so tickled pink with it. I still have it. It is still here. She doesn't get a lot of love. The photography that you shared before has now inspired me to actually probably carry around my Nikon. But for my daughter's birthday, I had my phone in my pocket of my dress because I was running around doing like the hostess with the mostest thing, as you do.
Yeah.
I thought about pulling out my Nikon for that special event, but then I went, there's going to be like more than half a dozen kids and therefore twice as many adults. It's going to be chaos everywhere. What if I put it on the kitchen countertop and a little set of fingers grabs the strap and rips it off of the countertop and it goes boom? Because the lenses, I have a few lenses, and that would be tragic. Having my phone with the capabilities that has is so much more convenient, and you can do so much in post-production with all of the amazing onboard apps as well as the post-production apps that are out there, both on the actual like programs like the Adobe Suite, but also like online browser-based things.
Lightroom for your phone. Yeah.
I am genuinely curious about, like, obviously they thought it was a great idea. They ran with it. I wish the career of the people that decided to go with this all the best, but who was asking for this?
It's a great question. I mean, it's almost like they went, and look, if someone's having fun and they've got the money to buy two, have fun. That's cool.
Yeah.
But it's like the company's gone, we're down a bit in sales because everyone is. We're noticing the second-hand market is going up a bit. How do we make a new second-hand camera to join this kind of retro infused? Yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff to unpack there. I don't particularly like shooting on my phone. I will to document a moment, but I don't love it. So I get this kind of stuff.
But it's not a nostalgia engine because the people who feel the nostalgia are us older users who would have maybe the disposable income after our mortgage payments and children's school fees and whatever to buy said item. But we wouldn't reflexively, like, that would do my head in if it was portrait by default, because my brain is so hardwired now that cameras are landscape.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of, like I said, we can't fix it all tonight, but I just wanted to put that out there and, maybe encourage people to dust off that old camera. Definitely take it down to the camera store. Even
from an ecology point of view, if for no other reason than for the environment, for landfill, because I have seen some like amazing pieces of tech in op shops that have And you always have to be like a little bit cautious, obviously, when you're buying things secondhand, that they haven't been, especially with DSLRs, that they haven't been left somewhere moist, that there isn't mold inside the body. Like, you can get some absolutely tragic things that happen to cameras because they've, obviously their internals are quite external once the lenses are off. But there are still places out there that service cameras, and if it comes with a couple of lenses and you can see through the lenses, then you're already ahead, because lenses are like super expensive, and a lot of them, can go cross body, or you can get adapters for them. But yeah, I think it's an interesting offering. I don't think I would be spending my disposable income on it, but whichever influencer wants to spook about it and try it out and share their results, like I'll look at their feed. But it's an interesting choice.
Interesting thing, eh? Yeah, you go pull out a 10-year-old camera and this thing, you're going to get a very similar look to each other.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Anyway, that's my thing to ponder. What's your thing to ponder?
Well, my thing to ponder has been in the news for a while. I think it's come and gone a little bit, but in case you haven't heard about it, lovely viewers of ours, 404 Media broke, and it was picked up by everyone, that the Chicago Sun-Times and the syndicated papers that it was involved with printed a summer reading list with books that don't exist. Not just one or two, but like 2/3 of the list of books that don't exist. And ironically, like very ironically, the person who authored, or at least submitted, this AI generated summer reading list didn't fact check it at all, because the books that were on it, one of them actually sounds like I would probably buy it and read it, and it was allegedly a book by Andy Weir, author of The Martian, and amazing. I've listened to the audiobooks, like the dramatic readings of them. They're fantastic pieces of fiction. But it was a book by Andy Weir about AI controlling things behind the scenes for years without anybody knowing. And I was like, so I was reading the synopsises of these books that that don't actually exist. I'm like, oh, now I hope that Andy Weir wasn't actually working on a book with like that general sort of topic thing, because now he has to just scrap it, because then otherwise everyone's going to go, oh, I remember. Because it got spread so far. And it just leads back to that, because obviously I work for an education institution. It's a big hot topic of ours, is the guardrails and the appropriateness of using AI tools in your assessment, in your study. Like, how is the best way of using these things? But like something that we're really trying to reinforce with everyone who's using AI tools at the moment, whether or not they're students or anyone else's, and this is something all of the professionals in the field that I have heard speak as well are saying and reinforcing, is you have to disclose if you're using AI tools. Like, it's really like the best idea. If you try to pull a Swiftie by, if your deadline's looming and you just write a prompt, get AI to spit something out, and then you just submit it, whether it's in a professional or an educational context, and you don't even fact check it.
Wow.
That's not good practice. That's a good way to lose your job, because I almost guarantee that this journalist would be paid for the work that they're submitting. So now anything else that they submit is going to be, like their career. What's going to happen to their career? Like, I don't know what's happening with them personally. They may have had really good reasons for doing this, but like, it's not a good look. It's not a good look for journalism and for, AI tools in general.
Totally. When you said this, you said we're going to talk about this. Not the first thing I did, but ultimately I found myself rewatching a movie that was big when I started in journalism, called Shattered Glass. It had Hayden Christensen in it as a journo who used to write. I won't spoil it, but I mean, come on, it's like The Sixth Sense kind of thing. Anyway, he wrote, it's based on a true story. This journalist who wrote incredible articles, and he was an incredible writer and an incredible journalist, but he just decided to make up a few. And they, of course, were the incredible articles, and then eventually the specialized publication, I think it was it Forbes or someone, basically was able to fact check him, and then it became this big thing. And it was just it feels like that again, but this time the robot wrote it for the
Yeah, it is. It's a really interesting thing for me, at least personally and professionally, because I'm very I'm engaging with AI tools.
Yeah.
But I try to be extremely transparent when I put a little thing talking about, this was generated with the use of AI. I keep track of the prompt I use.
Oh.
I will disclose which AI I used. I record the date that I did it, because obviously things are changing so rapidly that results may vary from month to month to month. Like you look at a tool like Adobe Firefly, the things that it was producing, last year are wildly different to the things that it's producing now, because it's just become so much more sophisticated with how it can understand and interpret prompts. And on top of that, I think people are getting better at writing really, really detailed mega prompts that have just a war and peace sundry list of details that they do and don't want included, which is making a world of difference to what's being generated. But I would never consider it to be a sound career plan to get something spat out from AI and then try to palm it off as my own soul work without acknowledging that I had assistance from a digital assistant.
I think that is absolutely the fairest way to put this. We can talk about I've got new cameras come out, and there's AI motors, engines in the autofocus system, and it's like, how do you disclose that? How do you even know when you're using a model for that in those? But that's not this. This is, bro, sure you generated it, sure you're on deadline. Did you Google the list? Did you rewrite anything? It's a bit disappointing, that one. But,
and I thought for you as a journalist in your previous eras would appreciate you just it's a big moment.
I've made some epic screw ups in print, and but it's and then you empathize with that, and hopefully the writer bounces back from this and learns from it, because that I would like to see that. But
thank goodness for pen names in their case, probably.
Next time, check it. Just check the books. Go to the books. Do they appear on a eBay as titles or something?
Is the book summary correct? Because it had book summaries, so you'd want to check that the book summary was at least in the ballpark.
It's just, or have the conversation with your editor to say, look, I am snowed. I'm not going to do a good job. That you can sort of say, it's that triangle. Do you have fast, cheap, and good, editor? And sometimes they say, I want it fast and cheap. But,
and ultimately, you and I both know how little authors are paid for pieces like this as well.
Yeah.
So you get so little money for how much time you would spend if you were to read all 10 of those books. You could be getting paid pennies an hour.
Yeah.
So anyway, enough about that. Let's move on to more positive things, sharing our skills in a segment we like to call, and my husband absolutely loves your voiceover for this, Ben, so definitely introduce our segment of skill sharing called That's Neat. Okay, so Ben, you go first.
All right, mate. I am going to share my screen. Add to stage. Oh, hang on. I got to press another button. Such a rookie at this. Here we go. So hopefully you're looking at my screen, and this is a photo. This is a picture of some drawings my kids did on our panel. I used to work for an interactive screen company, Promethean, And I've still got access to a panel a lot of the time, which is mad. And so I woke up this morning and the kids had said, Ollie said, come in, Dad. He's 5. We're going to draw some family portraits. So this is one of them. This is the other with a mohawk. He's growing a mohawk, he says. So then Laura drew in and then I drew in as well. And one of the things I wanted to do was make this a little bit more animated. So the dream is, if I go straight to my spoilers, where's my other Google tab?
Just make the screen a little bit bigger so we don't lose anything.
All right, cool. So what are we looking at here? Yeah, you can see I'll get rid of those cameras. So if you imagine, I've got these pictures here, they're still, but I want to animate them. I'm not an animator. And I just, I'm always thinking of cheap thrills I can do to improve some learner content in the day job. This got me thinking as a bit of a play space. So I'm going to play with you here. Now, a friend who teaches showed me this, which is sketch.meta. It's owned by Meta, and it is a whole bunch of their AI tools here. So ultimately, I'm going to take one of these drawings. I'm going to take the background off it, simplify it, load it in here. Hopefully magic will happen. And I'm going to start off by doing that in Photoshop. If you're thinking, no, I'm not doing Photoshop, that's cool. Look, Google, remove background Adobe, and you'll get to this website here, which is free. You don't have to be logged in, and you can bung your photos in there, and that'll do a really nice background remove. And there's other ways too. Some like iPhones can remove the backgrounds. Androids have apps to do it too. The Google phones, oh my gosh, do a pretty good job. But I'm still I'm under Adobe Tragic, so I'm going to either use something like this.
Background removal is really good though.
Oh, well,
on that service, it's really good.
I know. And what I've done is I've gone through, and if I show you each of these layers, I've just quickly copied and jumped up every character onto their own layer. So this is everyone here. So at each layer, it's going to be a tiny bit repetitive, but I'm going to click on it. Contextual toolbar, which is like the mind reading element of Photoshop, pops up and it says, do you want to select the subject or do we want to remove the background? I'm going to let that cook for a second, and there we go. And that's done a pretty nice job there, and I'm pretty happy with that. Happy with that. Cool. If it needs some work, you can work on the masking. You could try it again. All that kind of stuff is there, but I'm happy with that one. So I'm going to hide that one now. I'll grab this layer, select it, make it active, remove the background. Oh, that's pretty good. I don't actually mind it's taking the blue out there. I'm happy with that. Turn it off, grab the next one. Going to remove the background, and you guessed it, one more, remove the background. Oh, nice. Sorry, I think I clicked on the wrong layer there. Hang on, what's going on here? Here he is. Remove background. Yeah, cool. So let's turn them all on. That's looking pretty snazzy. You happy with that, Erin? I think we're happy with that.
Looks pretty good to me.
All right, I'm going to take those 4 layers, and there's lots of ways you can export stuff. Let's go File, Export. I like Export As, so I'm going to do that because it lets me choose the format. JPEG might work fine. I'm going to do a PNG because I think that website supports transparencies, and I would hit export. Now the trouble with that, I've just realized, is I thought I could split out each layer separately, and I can't. So I want to be able to load these things by themselves. So I'm making mistakes live. I could select the layer and then export it. But what I'm wondering is if I click them all...
I'd just create 4 copies and then crop each one.
Yeah.
To go quick and dirty.
There's nothing wrong with that. I'm going to bring my layers panel out here. I've got them selected. Right click on there. And then I can do quick export as... there was one here. If I go
What about
quick
export
export as
selection?
PNG, I'll try this one to the desktop. Desktop. There we go. Nice. So that's, if you do it by the layers panel, you get them each on a separate layer.
Nice.
Did that track? Does that make sense to the audience at home, do you think? I think.
Yep, we might actually that would be a really good feature, like a shorts feature of like if you've got 4 layers and you've got 4 things, can you just do a quick slow-mo replay?
All right. So yeah, if you've got 4 layers and you want to export them out separately, but in one go, because we're photographers, we're lazy, you click on the first one, shift click on the last one, select them all. There's Photoshop. If you right click here, if you right click here, if you right click here, you're going to get different things. So right click on the blank area, go to export as PNG. Export as, it'd probably do it too, in case that's set as a JPEG and you want a PNG, or if you want to export as a JPEG instead, hit that button, and then it's just going to bop them out to wherever you want them. I've got my 4 there already, but if I do open here, pretty quickly, with a bit of luck, we should be able to see, they're not going to overwrite. They may have overwritten them, which is good, but there they are.
That's awesome.
So that's a pretty, and you could stop there with those. They're PNGs. They got a nice transparent background. So you could bring them into your PowerPoints. You could bring them into your interactive whiteboards. They're going to look a ton better than just a rectangular clipped thing. This is just going to be profesh on profesh. But what I want to do is grab my
God, I love that app transition on apps in Mac OS. It's so sleek. It just goes.
So I've removed the backgrounds. Let's load one of these up into the Meta machine. Upload a photo. They're on my desktop, and I'm going to grab Mr. Camera Hands here. Let's do me. All right, it's happy. Hit next. Find the character. It's done a pretty good job there. I just want to make sure it's including those hands and that delicious bouffant of hair. I'm turning 40 now. That hair might be on its way out. And then we can refine the mask here. There's probably a few issues with the with the shoes and stuff like that. I'm gonna just whiz through that, but you would add or subtract just to make it perfect. So we'll have some issues with the feet, but I want to keep this show on the road. We'll hit next. Again, look at that. It's found the control points. So this is something you can do in Adobe Character Animator or other apps, but it's kind of gone, here's the shoulders, here's the arms, here's the hands, hips, knees, toes. What's the song? Eyes and ears and, all that kind of stuff. Hit next. And then it's going to cook for a bit. Oh, look at that. It's dancing around. It's happy. We've got a whole little bunch of actions we can choose here. Dance, jumping. Oh, that's more me. Oh, yes. Karate kick. Nice. So once we're there, we can, I think this is where we hit share, and we can edit. Nice. Next. We could do a bunch of stuff here, but effectively we're at that point where we can share and save it out there from there. Erin, that's kind of me. My ultimate dream is what I'll do is I'll take them back into Photoshop, and then I will probably do a job where I'll remove these from the background and I'll turn the, so it's got a nice plain background, and then I'll add those animations back in over the top. I feel like I've talked for a long time there, but that's
where I'm working. That was an awesome demo because it was like it was over here and then it was over here, but like the logistical workflow absolutely made sense. So I've just grabbed metademolab.com. That is where you went, isn't it? That's
Perfect.
the address.
Thank you, Erin. Yeah.
So that's up on the banner now, and look at him go, Mr. Camera Hands.
All right. Now look, and if you're thinking that Photoshop thing was a lot, you only need these 2 tabs, and you don't necessarily even have to remember this tab. But this is the one where you can just drop in your pictures to remove the background. So you imagine everyone in your class or your family draws an image, you pop them in here, you get a nice clean job. And then you get yourself over to that sketch place, and you can have yourself a nice time there uploading these and then shopping through the animations. Just good, clean, fun. Again, I probably wouldn't upload like, into Meta. I've just got a thing with Meta. I wouldn't probably put my photos in there. I'd definitely do drawings. But that's just how I feel about it. Your level of comfort is your level of comfort.
Absolutely. We always encourage that people use their own personal discretion when it comes to any of the tools that we show. What is the legalities thing of like, this is a showcase, not necessarily an endorsement. You only ever should use the tools that you feel comfortable with, and always think very hard if anything asks for your credit card details. There is no such thing as free online. There is no such thing as free.
Get yourself one of those little $10 Google gift cards or something like that.
Yeah, like the single-use cards that they're advertising around now. Yeah, if in doubt, they can't debit you twice if it only has $50 on it to begin with.
Erin, thank you for your patience.
No, that was awesome. So I'm just going to close a tab or 3 and then share my desktop. Now, the thing that I was going to share for my neat Skillshare this evening was going to be an AI theme again. Not that I'm going to, again, use with caution is always a good way of approaching anything in this life when it comes to technology. But when we're looking at tools and we're thinking about what we want to use, what we don't want to use, it's always super important to at least have a passing familiarity with what's out there and start educating yourself on the usage, especially when you work in a professional environment. One of the things that I have heard a lot from people who are working in the AI space is that digital literacy, and especially AI prompt literacy, is going to be so important moving forward. Environmental considerations aside, knowing how, well, I guess as environmental considerations, especially if you can get what you want from a well-worded prompt with the least amount of submissions, that is the less power that is getting used, that is the less frustration, and that is more time that you could be spending working on things that you actually want to work on. It is very easy to get caught up in the weeds when it comes to these sort of tools. And that being said, one of the tools that is getting more and more to the forefront is what's called prompt to video creation. We're familiar with prompt to image, but prompt to video is becoming a thing. And one thing I do really, really enjoy about the options that are out there, and I'm going to start with Adobe Firefly, because one thing that I do quite like about Adobe Firefly specifically is that with Firefly, it's referencing the amazing range of things that are already available in Adobe stock. It's not data mining random websites of artists, self-photographers or creatives that are uploading things to their own website and then are seeing an uncanny valley version of it being spat out of an AI generator that someone else is claiming is their own work. I don't hold with that. That gives me the ick, the idea that I'm ripping off somebody else's work. But that being said, when it comes to what I do, and a lot of what I do does require the use of stock video.
Yep.
And so I will utilize what is available in Adobe stock to the best of my, financial ability and the time it takes me to search. But simply said, sometimes what is out there is not necessarily what you're looking for. So if you're after something in particular and you can picture it in your mind's eye, but you lack the resources or the skills to be able to produce that output yourself, prompt or text to image is 100% an option that you should consider. So on the screen here, I'm just going to add that banner. There is a couple of different tools where this is an option, one of which, as I mentioned, is Adobe Firefly. This is the landing page where it's talking about text to video, image to video, and also the translate video options that are out there. Now, I am going to be doing a totally cold demo on this and another service that is offering text to video, which is supposed to be the Microsoft 365 Copilot, because we don't have a budget for our show. We are paying for it out of our own pockets. So I do not have disposable income to buy licenses for all the things. So I am completely at the mercy of what freemium options it gives you to try stuff out. Now, so I had this idea of what I wanted to try, and I'm like, okay, so I'm going to pull up a couple of the different generators. I have curated a prompt that I am going to put onto the screen, and I'm going to just like very briefly talk about like prompt creation and the art form that is prompt creation. And then I'm going to plug my prompt into these text to video generators, and you are going to see live the different kind of results, if any result, that it spits out for me on a completely free, or like at least like a non-membership version of these sites or programs. Okay. So it could go completely off the rails. I could end up with nothing, in which case I am going to then modify my prompt slightly and then plug it into Adobe Express to at least create an image that may at least be in the ballpark, hopefully, of what I was picturing in my mind. So when it comes to prompts, there is prompt authorship especially. There are a couple of guidelines that I think are really important for people to think about. Now, just to briefly rattle those off, a good AI prompt, in order to get the best result, it needs a persona. So you tell it to imagine it is X person with X background. Giving a prompt a persona wildly can modify what output it actually gives you, because it's just going to take a guess. So if you are explicit with saying who is the person hypothetically generating this content, it will sort of have a bit more of a guardrail. I use the term guardrails a lot at the moment. It's like it's in my brain. It'll create something based on that. Whereas if you say create an image of a butterfly on a rock, is it creating it as drawn by a 5-year-old? Is it creating something that's photoreal? Is it creating something that's illustrated? It's just gonna like throw mud at the wall and see what you like. So the more specific you can get, the better. So you need a persona. You need an objective. So some kind of like context of where this is going to be used or what it's for. You need the audience. Who is it going to be looking at it? You need to provide some context, and you need to provide it with some boundaries, those guardrails that I was mentioning earlier. So in that line, I have created a prompt, and I do not think that StreamYard is going to like the size. Yeah, I've got a 200 character limit, and my prompt is way over 200 characters, which is all good. So I'm just going to pull my sticky note up on the screen.
Oh, yeah.
And that's about as big as I can make it for y'all. I'm sorry. So it is. Imagine you are a talented and award-winning filmmaker who has a reputation for creating inspirational, artistic, and uplifting imagery. Please create a video in widescreen format that features a person on the left of the screen reaching out to the right-hand side of the screen, which shows a nebulous form that represents knowledge and creativity. For this nebulous form, draw inspiration from colored smoke or ink in water, but make sure that the movement of the nebulous form is dynamic and calming, featuring a rainbow of gradient colors. The audience for this footage will be as part of an introductory sequence about how humanity and technology coexist in creative unison. Make sure you show the full profile of the human on a black background. So this is the limitations that we're giving it, that the footage is in widescreen 16:9 format. It's the AI generators struggle with format, by the way. If you don't explicitly state it, and even when you do, sometimes it doesn't like it, just like gets confused. And that the human is screen left, reaches out with one arm to touch the nebulous form at the center of the screen, and the nebulous form does not reach past the right-hand side of the screen. Keep the lighting dramatic and backlit with high contrast. Anything could happen, kids. So first and foremost, because it could take a little while for it to generate something, right? So I'm going to start with Firefly. So if you hit that button, create with Firefly, it will take you to this screen. And I'm going to add that in and display that on screen for us all, right? Okay, so I'm going to grab my prompty prompt. Control C to copy, Control V to paste. And that's interesting. Does it only like short and sweet?
They want the first one to be short.
Okay. See, this is the beauty of live demos now. So
we make mistakes so other people don't have to.
Okay, let's just try that little bit of that sentence. I think that's still too long.
Yeah.
Person.
Is it? If you paste, I was just thinking if you pasted it in just to somewhere else, just to make sure it's copy pasting.
Yeah, well, I tried copy and pasting in here, so screen left, reaching out to nebulous form on right. Yeah, there is a hard character limit on that field.
Yeah.
Now this is going to get interesting. So, Adobe Firefly, do your thing. This premium feature requires a plan with premium feature access. Explore what's possible with 2 complementary generations. There we go. So you get what you get. See, it's grabbed the rest of it. There, that's interesting. And you don't get upset. Try now.
Well, there you go.
And she's thinking about it. And she's thinking about it. And in the meantime, I'm going to go over to Microsoft 365 Copilot. And I'm going to do the same.
Yep.
So there's my entire prompt, and I'm gonna hit the go button.
Go.
Oh, and Copilot's saying nice things to me. Well, points for Copilot. Yes, thank you. Beautiful and evocative. I'll take that. And it has given me visual composition directions.
What's it say that? Would you like to generate a still frame?
Create.
I can find that with Copilot. It is so polite to you, but it just doesn't do what you ask.
Yeah, it's like thanks, babes, for the nice words, but okay. So Clipchamp to generate videos. Let's try this out. Oh. Man,
it's all right. You're doing it live.
Yeah, like so many steps.
Isn't it interesting just how exponentially hard? I mean, this is true all the time. Like, video is exponentially harder than photography.
Oh, it's not so much.
It is like you can make a really good photo with just like the tiniest bit of a wall you know, and
Could
you can
not log
kind of
in.
make a building with a wall.
Could not log in. Try again later.
Oh, mate. Okay.
Boo. Okay, so back to Adobe Firefly. What has she given us?
Yeah, it's still saying the generate button has gone back to blue on you there. So
Yeah. Wait. Oh, no, I have to hover over the screen. There we go. There we go, Ben. So I have to hover over it to get the play header. So there we are.
They're like bandy with this. Okay.
Okay, cool. So it's picked up the smoke, it's picked up the color gradient, it's picked up everything. I did give Copilot a chance and computer said no. Like, gotta respect, you have to have consent, right?
Yeah.
So if I may pull file in. Oh my goodness. Let's just think of how we can modify the prompt, because like of the human's entire body on a black background, how can we make it so that it's, because I've got a thing in my head where I'm trying to get it out. So entire body, maybe in silhouette on a black background. Let's try that one because I have 2 goes, right? I get 2 goes. So let's download that one so we don't lose it and then hit generate again. And let's see what it spits out. Because obviously these are not the only 2 options that are out there. There are other video options like Deep AI, but as soon as you look at them, you go video generator calls, it's $5 per month and you have to start paying money, which again, full respect, not going to argue the point. Ooh, it definitely picked up the silhouette prompt, didn't it? So yeah, you get what you pay for. And if I wanted to try Deep AI as an option, I would have to pay the money to do it even for a demo, because there is no limited access per day for you to just like have a play without pay for play. So let's see this. See, that's not too bad. But what I also find really interesting about it is that at no point did I say to it that the human is female. And yet for both generations, it made it a, female presenting form, which I think is just really super interesting from like a bias point of view. Because like it could have just made it like a generic human shape without making it female presenting. So that's another interesting thing. But yeah, it definitely nailed the brief there when I added in the entire body and silhouette. It definitely picked that up. It picked up the elements of the nebulous form. It created the bit of smoke or ink and water that made sure it features a rainbow of gradient colors. So look at you go, Adobe Firefly. It did a great job. Let's download that. And I will have a bit of a think about where I will actually save my modified prompt as well, because that's always really good practice if you're going to ever think about using something that you've generated in AI. Make sure you note down what date you did it and what prompt you used. So I guess that is probably it from me for this particular little one, Ben. I'm just going to add you back onto the stage and pull you up there.
So cool. I like that.
I was going for a compare and contrast angle, but Microsoft said no.
Yeah, well, that's okay. It's all bleeding edge, isn't it, with video? I'm super excited. I've only seen it teased, but that stuff in like Premiere Pro, for example, where you've got the clip, you've filmed it, but it's like this much short on the timeline, so you can kind of use it to just extend extend that as the person walks out the door and lingers and looks back. You just get that extra 3 or 4 seconds. That's
because sometimes you just can't like slow the footage down to try to like squeeze out that extra couple of seconds. Sometimes it works, sometimes it really doesn't, and you just need that extra little kiss of footage to get the project to looking right.
Yeah,
like there's only so many fades to black that you can do in order to elongate your footage.
Yeah, and it's getting interesting. Final Cut does a really good job of that. It's not, you would call it optical flow, where it's adding frames in, but it's now not optical flow. It's super slow-mo or something. Anyway, and it's neat.
And
that's
the thing, like a lot of these engines, like the Photoshop stuff that Premiere does in Premiere Pro, a lot of the automatic captioning that is out there nowadays, as we mentioned earlier, the translate video feature that was on screen earlier in Firefly, where, you know, for our video, say for instance, I could throw it into Firefly and say, give me an audio track for this for up to in more than 20 languages, and we could like really get fancy with our viewership, and then just hope that the Australian vernacular, because you'd be getting a literal translation, I imagine. So Newt, I don't know how that would translate.
Sounds like in some beautiful language. Yeah,
I know it could be extremely naughty. We don't know. We are blissfully ignorant.
We have to, mate. We would need to find someone to proof it. We couldn't just. That's scary, isn't it? People are just going to go, this emergency broadcast, I'm just going to send it through one of those and get 3 versions of it. And
Ben, we watch closed captions a lot in our house because we're both like varying levels of deaf for different reasons, or deafness. I have deafness in one ear specifically, and so some things are really, and it is so interesting the poor quality of captioning that is on like some really like well-known streaming services where you're like watching and I can hear what they're saying, and I'm looking at the closed captions, I'm like, that is not the same. That's not even the same script. That's like a different, like they translated to another language and then translated it back, and it's lost like all of the ad-lib bits, and I'm going, interesting choice.
You know, the live captioner got a cramp in their wrist and just went, no.
Anyway, good enough. Close enough. It's fine.
He said no.
No one's going to notice.
He did say no, but I'm sure there was a lot more involved in it because his mouth's moving heaps more. Anyway.
Yeah, I know, right? And like to the point where sometimes I'll wait to see who did the close, because at the end of the presentation, at the end of the show, usually it'll have a little brief thing that'll flash up to say closed captioning by such and such media, and I'll go, write them an angry letter. Is that even something people do anymore? An angry email, an angry comment submission on their website. Just
so they put 3 angry dot points into ChatGPT, and that it writes the letter.
Or alternatively, I say, I have really great attention to detail. Could I please fix your closed captioning on these programs because it's making me crazy?
Oh, yes. Sell your services. That's why you are in charge of this podcast, Erin, because you are one step ahead.
Oh, as always, you're so kind when I'm just going on a rant. But no, it's been fantastic having you as a part of the show again, Ben. Thank you so much for your contributions. I now actually feel inspired to get a decent quality photograph of some of my daughter's interesting artworks and see how I can turn them into different kind of puppets. There's a few different tools out there, but I didn't know that Meta had one. I missed that bit of news, so thank you very much.
That's my favorite one because it's just like chuck it in, choose an action. But I'm on the hunt for more with a little bit more control.
No, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Ben, and thank you to everyone who's joining us for the stream. You might have noticed that we may be recording on the 6th, but we're going to be releasing it on the 7th because we've decided that we're going to be doing this show on the first Saturday of every month. Schedules, illness, and other commitments permitting. Otherwise, we're going to try to make it as close as we can to the first Saturday of every month. So that'll be 12 shows a year, and you never know where it's going to take us from there. So I appreciate everyone who's watching the show. Thank you so much. Take care, and we'll see you next time.
See you later.